Right now, as you're sitting there, there's this incredible silent drama unfolding inside your body. It's a story of life and death happening on a scale that's almost impossible to wrap your head around. We're talking about the constant, totally essential process of your cells dying.
And when I say constant, I mean it. We're talking billions. That's how many cells your body replaces every single day. It's a massive turnover that's absolutely fundamental for you to stay healthy, to grow, and to heal from injuries.
So you gotta wonder, right? With billions of cells checking out daily, is it just total chaos, a microscopic free-for-all, or is there some kind of plan, a method to the madness? Well, the amazing answer is, it's both. Today, we're gonna dive into the two very, very different ways your cells meet their end.
So, first up, let's meet the orderly, methodical character in our story, apoptosis. This is the body's preferred way of doing things. It's clean, it's planned, and it's incredibly important. Think of it as the responsible one. Apoptosis is, quite literally, programmed cell death. It's when a cell gets a signal saying, hey, your time is up, and it dutifully carries out its own dismantling. Even the name is poetic. It comes from a Greek word that means falling off, which perfectly paints this picture of leaves falling from a tree in autumn. It's natural, it's necessary, and it's actually kind of beautiful.
So how does this super tidy process work? Well, instead of just exploding and making a mess, the cell first shrinks down. Then, it neatly packages itself up into these little membrane-wrapped bubbles called apoptotic bodies. Seriously, it's like taking a sensitive document, shredding it, and then putting all the tiny confetti pieces neatly into a bag. And to finish the job, neighboring cells come along, gobble up these little packages, and recycle all the parts. No mess, no fuss.
And you see apoptosis in action in some pretty amazing places. When you were just an embryo, it was apoptosis that carved out your individual fingers and toes from what were essentially little webbed paddles. It's how a tadpole absorbs its tail to become a frog. And every day, it's what gets rid of cells that have damaged DNA, stopping huge problems like cancer before they can even start. So, when you think about it, apoptosis isn't a violent end at all. It's more like a cell gracefully bowing out for the greater good of the whole team. Yeah, it's like a polite retirement.
All right, now for our second character, which could not be more different. Let's meet Necrosis, the unplanned, chaotic, and destructive counterpart to apoptosis. This is the messy one.
See, unlike apoptosis, necrosis is never planned. It's uncontrolled cell death, and it's caused by some kind of severe external injury. We're talking about things like a physical wound, nasty toxins, or a sudden lack of blood flow and oxygen. This isn't retirement. This is a catastrophic sudden accident.
And the process? It's the total opposite of tidy. The injured cell loses control, it swells up with water like a balloon, and then pop! Its outer membrane just bursts, spilling all of its internal guts out into the surrounding neighborhood. Forget the neat bag of confetti. This is like a water balloon filled with garbage exploding all over your living room carpet.
And the real-world examples of necrosis are just as dramatic. It's what's happening to skin cells when you get severe frostbite. It's the cause of that terrifying tissue death we call gangrene, which is triggered by a nasty infection. And, tragically, it's what kills brain cells during a stroke when their oxygen supply gets cut off. So if apoptosis is that polite retirement, necrosis, well, it's more like a destructive fire. It's violent, it's messy, and it causes a ton of collateral damage to all the healthy cells nearby.
Okay, so we've met our two very different players. Now, let's put them side by side in a head-to-head showdown to really hammer home just how different they are.
And really, this whole showdown boils down to one simple concept: order versus chaos. One is a precisely executed plan, and the other is a total, messy breakdown of control.
This chart lays it all out perfectly. You've got apoptosis, programmed, controlled. Necrosis, uncontrolled, accidental. Apoptosis shrinks and packages neatly. Necrosis swells and bursts messily. But look at that last part, the effect. This is the real kicker. Because apoptosis is so clean, there's no inflammation. But when a cell bursts during necrosis, its spilled contents scream danger to the immune system. That triggers a massive response. The swelling, the redness, the pain, that's inflammation, and it's all because of the mess.
So, okay, this is some cool biology for sure. But why does this cellular drama actually matter to you in your life? Well, it turns out that the balance between this orderly process and this chaotic one is absolutely fundamental to your health. It's at the very heart of so many diseases.
Let's just focus on apoptosis for a second. Your body needs this process to work just right. Not too much and not too little.
It's a really delicate balancing act.
So what happens when that balance gets thrown off? What if the cells that are supposed to die just don't? What if they ignore those signals telling them it's time to retire?
Well, the result is uncontrolled growth. In fact, a failure of apoptosis is one of the key things that defines cancer. Cancer cells are basically cells that have forgotten how to die. That lets them multiply endlessly, forming tumors and causing devastation.
Okay, so that's one side of the coin. Now let's flip it. What happens when the die signal gets stuck in the on position and healthy cells start self-destructing when they really shouldn't?
That leads to a whole different set of devastating problems, mainly tissue loss. This is a huge factor in a lot of neurodegenerative diseases. A tragic example is Alzheimer's disease, which is characterized by the widespread death of way too many precious brain cells.
And what about our messy friend, necrosis? Well, because it only happens from severe injury, seeing a lot of it is one of the body's biggest, loudest alarm bells. It's a major danger signal that something has gone terribly, terribly wrong.
Necrosis is the process behind the damage in some of our most feared medical emergencies. That massive tissue death in a heart attack or a stroke, that's necrosis. The damage from severe infections, the permanent scars they can leave behind, it's all the fallout from this chaotic, destructive process.
And this all brings us to a final, really fascinating thought. Understanding this tale of two deaths isn't just an academic exercise, it is right at the forefront of modern medicine. So what if we could become the masters of this process? Could we figure out how to flip the apoptosis switch on in cancer cells that refuse to die? Or what if we could block necrosis to save brain or heart tissue right after a stroke? The answer to that question, well, it might just unlock the next generation of cures.